Hey there, would you mind sending me a Discord message with what you want to be on the screen and your title and your name, please?
Sure.
Much. Um, so many messages here. Okay, I'm so sorry, you guys. I am just, the battle is mostly over. Yes, okay. Um, the meow sound, I don't want to put the meow sound back up, please. Like, we still have follows that are coming through from like hours ago.
Yep.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna check that right now and I'm gonna post it on screen.
So, one thing really quick, since everyone in the Discord chat below is so distraught with everything that last guy just said to you, they wanted to make sure that you knew that he was full of it. And he just talked
Okay.
your ear off for like 30 minutes for nothing.
Well, I appreciate that knowledge. We've had a couple trolls come on to the. I love saying the air because this is hilarious because I've never said that before, but we're gonna call it that because this has apparently become a radio show at this point. I love saying that, but we've had a couple trolls come on the air at this point, and we've just given them their piece and let them say whatever they want, the fuck they want to say. Chat blows up, Discord blows up, and I just roll with it because I really don't give a fuck at this point. Like, I feel like we have so much good content coming through that a little bit of shit is not gonna discourage anybody.
Definitely, definitely. And I used to actually do Eve Radio. I was actually an Eve Radio host, and understand you gotta just flow with the punches. Whatever.
Yeah, you just roll with the punches. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get as many sides as I possibly can. Like I said, we've been doing this for 8 hours now. So this has been completely this blew out of proportion. I did not expect this to happen today, and like I'm not prepared for this. I barely put on any makeup. Like, let's be honest. Like, I had no idea that this was gonna happen today. Um
Well, you're doing an amazing job, and honestly, by getting Sapo and Dur and everybody involved, you got one of the largest autistic alliances in the game involved. So expect lots of publicism now.
Well, I'm hoping for it. As I'm sure you're aware, I'm only 2 weeks into the game, so I'm gonna ask some questions that are gonna seem kind of simplistic.
Okay,
And do
not a
forgive
problem.
me that. Basically, what I'm trying to do here and what I'm trying to accomplish is the fact that I'm sure that there are several people watching this stream other than myself and who are in here that A, have maybe not ever played Eve, B, maybe they've heard about what's going on and they haven't played for very long, C, maybe they're just really, really new to the entire concept of Eve. And so I figure by asking simplistic questions and just getting you to clarify things, it's going to get people to really understand what's happening because there is a lot of terminology in Eve that a lot of people don't understand.
Definitely.
So, can you tell me what happened today from your perspective?
So I was actually the main backup FC for Test Alliance. Please ignore. Um, in a lot of fights, when they happen in even large alliances and coalitions, uh, usually the large scale FCs go in knowing that they're going to die almost immediately, if not instantly. And we usually have multiple backup FCs or multiple characters in the fleet that we can FC from, so that when that happens, we just keep on going and rolling with the punches. Um, Today was a very large timer for one of the major alliances in the Imperium, as they're calling themselves now. Um, and the iHub timer, it really decided whether or not
Pause.
they were going to stay in this war.
Can you tell me
Uh,
what an iHub is and why it has a timer?
An iHub is it's short for industrial hub, and what it does is when it's installed into a system, you can put upgrades into it to make your system better, to make it more industrial capable, and help you out with logistics. You can put upgrades in it to increase the amount of sites that spawn in your system, so that your alliance mates can do sites and make ISK by killing rats. You can install in strategic upgrades to that way you can make jump bridges to other systems, creating highways and stuff basically to shorten your route between different space and nullsec. You can do all sorts of things with them.
So why did it have a timer? What is this timer that you're talking about for anybody who's new and just tuning in? I'm aware that from my understanding, a timer is basically how long you have a claim on the iHub in that system, right? And the timer pops up once every year, maybe?
No, no, no. Okay, so the reason that there is a timer is because in Eve you can claim space as your own. That's what we call SOB. You own SOB, you own the system. And the reason there are timers is because you can't just CCP has implemented these things because you don't want someone just to be able to come along and wipe everything that you have out and go, this is my system now. You have to give the defenders a fighting chance. So the way they did this was they implemented what's called a reinforcement timer. And anytime that someone wants to come and take your space, they have a certain window that they have to come in and say, okay, I want this space. And they have to come in and sob laser it with what's called an mitosis link for a certain amount of time, depending on how reinforced your system is. And once they do that, the system goes into a reinforcement timer. And that timer is set to come out in a time zone that you're really active in for your alliance and your coalition so that you can actively defend it and have a chance to keep your space.
So how do you get to know if this timer is going off?
All of the vulnerability windows, as we call them, are public information. You can either go to the system and look at the actual structure and see the timer, or you can look in game at, if you like link the system anywhere, you can click on it and look at the vulnerability timers and see if the system's already reinforced, if it has a timer, when the timer comes out, when it's vulnerable, and all that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much for that very
Mhm.
helpful explanation. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that just learned a lot about the game and had no idea what this was about. So what you're saying is that because this iHub had a timer today was the perfect time to go in for this battle.
Definitely. The reason that these timers are created is because we went in probably about a day and a half ago, is generally how long the timers are, and we entosis the system and set the stage for this to come out. And you can do this in one system at a time, or you can do it in multiple systems all over the place.
So there were
And
multiple systems in the battle today, correct?
yes, there were. There was actually a whole constellation. So the way
Can you
CCP
explain what a
has
constellation is?
Okay, so a constellation is a group of multiple systems basically that are close together. And usually it's probably anywhere from 5 to 10-ish systems in space that you can put stations in or whatever and rad in. So a constellation, the reason that it's important to own the whole constellation or to be present in the whole constellation is because of the way that the reinforcement timers work. Anytime that your system goes into reinforced and is coming out, you have these nodes that pop up everywhere, and you have to go in and toast these nodes and contest them. And if you don't, and the other team comes and contests them, they basically can destroy your sob structures and take your space from you.
So what I'm understanding is that a lot of people are claiming that CCP needs to do something about these nodes in Constellation. What would you like to be done?
The funny thing is that CCP has changed the way that sovereignty works 3 or 4 different times in the past now. Originally, you had to put a certain number of player-owned structures in the system and hold the majority of them to be able to own the system. Then they changed it to a system that, okay, well, now we're going to make it to where you have to put up these other structures to try and take a system, and it's only, once you have all these structures up, then you can come in and destroy the other structures, and then now they've changed it to the new system of what we're calling FozzySov, quote unquote, is the main CCP guy who was working on this and pushing it through. Um, and honestly, in my opinion, I really think that it's going in a good direction, and I really think they've gotten to a good place with it. There are a few things here and there that could use some working out, but honestly, I really like this solve system better than any of the past ones that I've seen thus far.
Okay, and so you said that you really like this one, but can you give like some clear and definitive reasons for why this one is better?
um, Before the ability to come in and be a lot of things that CCP has mentioned recently is force projection. They've been trying to nerf force projection for larger alliances and larger entities so that it's easier for smaller people to come into nullsec and to own space, for new people to come into the game basically and own space. And a lot of what's been happening in the past is people will come in with what are called super carriers and titans, the biggest ships in the game basically, and sit on their structures when someone tries to come and attack them and say, we're not breaking. And smaller alliances are not able to come into the game immediately and say, well, we can do something about supers and titans. They can't. It's just not possible. And CCP is trying to change that to where you don't have to. They did change it to where you don't have to basically sit there with a bunch of carrier capital ships and super capital ships and be undefeatable, basically.
Got it. Okay, well, I think that's a really good move on CCP's part. I think that's going to make it a lot more exciting for brand new players, or even for new players. So that's pretty exciting. So can you tell me today, when you were in the battle and you were doing fleet commanding for test, can you tell me what the most exciting moment was for you?
I think the most exciting thing was when right after the battle started, our main FC Pro God Legend actually got primaried off the field, which, like I said earlier, is to be expected.
Can you explain what
Um,
being primaried off the field means?
Anytime we go into large fights, usually the other team is trying to figure out who your FC is, who your anchor is, who's target calling, so that they can kill that person.
Can you explain what an anchor is and what an FC is?
So an FC is the fleet commander. He's basically the person calling the shots for your fleet, telling your fleet what to do, where to go, who to shoot generally, and basically controlling the general fleet movement. The anchor for the fleet can sometimes be that same person, or it can be designated to be someone else. The anchor is basically the person that everyone in the fleet is following through space, so that you don't get spread out all over the system or picked off one by one on the grid.
Okay.
Uh, so what happened when we came into the fight? We took a Titan bridge, which is like a it's like a Stargate, only it's a ship that makes the bridge, and it's one of the largest ships in the game. It's
So,
considered a super
just for
catapult.
anybody that's just tuning in, a Stargate is kind of a gate that you go to and it allows you to jump through a system, correct?
Confirm.
Okay. So, what he's saying is that there are ships that can actually do this, which is absolutely mind boggling if you're new to this game.
So
Anyways, do continue.
these ships are like they're literally the biggest class of ships in the game. There's four different ones, one for each race, and they can create these bridges through a limited distance in space, but it's logistically advantage to whoever has them. Um, so basically, we bridged through the Titan back behind enemy lines, and then came at them from behind. And then once our fleet met their fleet, they basically proceeded to kill our fleet commander, so that our fleet would be hopefully in disarray and not be able to function correctly. Uh, but of course, we're prepared for this because it generally always happens. I
What you're
then
saying
took
is you
over
had
FC.
backup fleet commanders.
Always, 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 always. In these
And
large, big
that is
nullsec
what you would
battles,
advise as a smart move is to have backup fleet commanders.
always. And if you don't have backup fleet commanders, what would happen then is our fleet would have just basically been like going all over the place, randomly trying to do things, and they would have picked us off one by one, and we would have definitely lost the battle at that point.
Okay. Did Test Alliance have an alternative motive to retake the Vow of Silent for themselves?
Um, Honestly, the Veil of the Silent was just the first big kick to this. There's a big plan behind all of this, and uh, honestly, the Veil was just the first domino to fall. Hopefully, in a long line of dominoes going in the future to basically annihilate the initiative, also known as the CFC, that
Or
we
the
used to call them.
Imperium or the Goons, whatever you would
The
like to call them.
Imperium, whoever, yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to say about what happened today or any other insight that you want to give?
Honestly, if you're a new player in the game, the best thing that you can do is to join a rather big corporation, preferably in a nullsec alliance. And the reason that I say this is because if you're in a small corporation in high sec, you're not going to really get to experience much of the game. There is a lot to EVE Online. There are a lot of parts to EVE Online. There's wormhole space. There's nullsec. There's lowsec. There's so many different things you can do in this game. And if you join a larger alliance in or a larger corporation in a larger alliance, you can experience so much more of the game because there are smaller groups in these alliances that do each part of the game well. There's wormholer corps in the big alliances that know how to do wormhole sites. There's incursion groups. There's all kinds of different things you can do in larger alliances, and it just opens up the game completely for you.
You have any alliances that you would recommend? I know Dreadit is recruiting. Is there any others?
Reddit is always recruiting. That's Reddit's motto. There are quite a few good alliances, and we're blue with a couple of them. The CFC is really big, and the reason that a lot of Eve is coming together and fight them is because they're so big that they've gotten too big for their britches and think that they rule this game, and we're trying to show them that they don't. Um, but other corporations or alliances you could join, NC dot Northern Coalition dot as they're called. Pandemic Legion is basically a bitter vet alliance with a bunch of older people who play the game. So you more than likely won't get in there as a new person. But Pandemic Horde is one of their smaller, newer bro welcoming alliances. You could try getting in there. You can go to Brave used to be a really good alliance, but they've kind of fizzled out since then.
Okay.
Um,
Can you
so-
answer me one last question? What is gained through controlling these sectors, and what makes it worth throwing away these ships?
So, like I said before about the iHubs and everything, you can upgrade this space to make it better to rat in and make money in. Well, you can also implant upgrades in the iHub to where you can build these bigger ships, the super carriers and the Titans. And being able to live in nullsec, you gain so much more open windows to the ability to make more money in the game, and the ability to buy more ships, and the ability to excel further in the game and do a lot more. There are complexes and stuff that you can do in nullsec that are kind of hard, and some of them you need multiple people to go and do and help you with, and it really just it opens up a lot more of the game for you at that point.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for answering all these questions in a clear and concise manner. I really
Mhm.
appreciate your input. Is there anything else you want to say before you go?
Reddit's recruiting. Predators is recruiting. Definitely.
Okay,
If you joined Reddit, definitely try and get into Predators. But that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I thank you for having me.
thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Have a wonderful day.
Not a problem. You too.
Would you mind saying your name and saying goodbye to everybody?
My name is RazorClear. I'm one of the Strat FCs for Test Alliance. Please ignore, and have a good day, guys. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, boy.